Afternoon, guys. Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School. What I want to do in this trapping series, we're talking a little bit about primitive trapping as well as modern trapping. The reason for that is, if you read a lot of the old books, even the trappers that were carrying steel-jawed traps supplemented their line or understood primitive trapping to extend the length of their line once they ran out of steel traps. You can only carry so many. So understanding primitive concepts is important as well. I want to throw in on this video series this PDF4 Deadfall trigger because it weighs next to nothing. It's made of aircraft aluminum. We've been selling these for about 2 years now probably, but I have experimented with lots of different setups using this trigger, and I'm going to show you 3 or 4 of them in this video. Okay, so here we have our PDF4 set up in a fishing format. You can see that it's at an angle going up toward a spring pole here. And the toggle is connected here, and you've got about a 45-degree angle from the spring pole down to the trigger system. And then you've got a smaller line here that's just connected up here on a Prusik style knot. You've got a small loop in this line that goes right over the top of this hook, just like that. And this is what goes out to the water that has your bait on the end of it. And so you can see, as I move this line a little bit side to side, it's pulling on that trigger. Spring pole's right behind that. Now, when I take this small string as if I were a fish, and I attempt to take off with the bait, it sets off the trap, trigger falls free, spring pole goes up, sets the hook, and you've got the fish. All right, so let me kind of walk you through this setup. So you've got your fishing line here. Let's throw that out of the way for a minute. It's consequential at this point. We've got it hooked with a Prusik style slider here on the line. We take our figure 4 and we put the toggle that we've got at the end of our line here in this hook here. Hard to do this one-handed here. Just like this. And we pull it up inside. Just like that. So it's levering out as this moves up and down. So as this releases here and comes down, it releases this, which releases the toggle. So now we'll just hold all that together just like that. We've got a stake in the ground that's at an angle toward our spring pole with a hook in it or a loop in it that we can hook to the bottom of our trap. And now we've got the trap set. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our line that we're going to fish with. We've got our bait and hook on the end. We've got a loop tied on here just big enough that it can go over the front here. And it's important that all this line comes out the same side of this trap. And then we just throw this out into the water. When that gets tugged, it sets off the trap. Okay, the system is very simple. It has a point on the end of it, a place that you can jam some bait or whatever. And it's also got some string tie out lines here too. So you can actually wire bait to it if you wanted to. The setup is very simple. It's got a notch in the back to hook the lever into. And it sits straight up and down, just like this. And when the arm moves, it basically releases it from this lever, which acts just like any other figure 4 trigger. So it's a very quick and easy, no carving, no messing around option. All you got to find is the deadfall. So this is an example of how to use the PDF4 in a Siberian style deadfall. So we've got a hammer and anvil basically here. Your anvil being a log that's already fallen across the creek. Your hammer being a log that you cut up on top. And then you've got 2 supports here holding it from falling side to side. The animal has plenty of room to get on this log from underneath. And your bait is then placed on the point out from underneath or out of line so that the animal has to come down the log and actually reach to get the bait. And when he reaches to get the bait, the hammer and anvil comes down and kills him. Now I've got this trigger tied to this log on the bottom here. so that when it falls free, it doesn't fly off into the woods. It's just laying there hanging. Okay, so this is the PDF4 Deadfall trigger, set up as a trigger system for a spring-powered snare. And you can see our snares right here. And we've got a mock cubby set up here. What we've done is we've staked the bottom and hooked it, and then the top is being pulled straight up with a toggle to a spring pole on a branch. And that toggle's hooked underneath the figure 4, so that when the figure 4 is tripped, it lets go of the toggle and tightens the snare. All right, so again, cubby's here, bait would be here. Enters the cubby to get the bait. Spring pole goes off, animal snared. All right, guys, well, I appreciate you joining for this video real quick on a couple 3 setups with this PDF4 Deadfall trigger. These things are available on our website. You can buy them singly or you can buy them in 6 packs. It's something I would definitely recommend that you have in your bug out bag, if that's what you wish to call it, or your, getting out of Dodge bag, for lack of a better term. If you've got to focus on getting meat, which you will eventually, you're going to need some components to do that with. And steel traps, while they are the best, are also heavy. So you may not be able to carry very many if you choose to do that. But aluminum trap triggers, snare wire, and things like that are much easier to carry, although some things like snare wire may be temporary as far as their use. They may only be a one-time shot. You've got X amount of meals in the bank there. You've got some figure 4 triggers that you can use to supplement the steel traps that you are carrying. And now you've got a trap line and you're in business. So I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, and for our business, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.